Welcome everyone to the RTV studios on the campus of Martinsville High School for another edition of Inside Martinsville Basketball here on the MHS Rewind YouTube channel and WRAP 15 Sports. I'm your host Eric Meyer, joined as always by Artesian head coach Kip Staggs. Coach, again, thank you for joining here as we finally get going here on this Thursday afternoon.
Always a pleasure.
Coach, we appreciate you joining us. As always, got a lot to talk about. A couple of games this past weekend, tough losses on the road for the Artesians, Plainfield and Center Grove. We'll talk with the coach about those particular contests. We'll look ahead to the Artesians' next two games prior to the Christmas break. It'll be Eastern Green coming up on Saturday, then Indian Creek. Both games here against those contests. Indian Creek, of course, coming up on Tuesday. We'll talk with the coach about that. They've also had a lot of things going on during the practice. We'll talk about assistant coaches and a whole lot more here on this edition of Inside Martinsville Basketball. But Coach, let's go back to last weekend. We knew coming in it would be a couple of tough games on the road. We'll start on the road at Plainfield in Mid-State Conference play. That's a contest where you guys pretty close early on, first half of play. Second half, Plainfield kind of got things going and then kind of pulled away from you guys for the victory.
Well, first half we played really well. You know, it's 35-30 at halftime, and you know, we went into the locker room and there was really two plays that stood out to us. We fouled three-point shooters on two different occasions that led to 7 points for them. So all of a sudden, you know, you eliminate those bad plays on our side, and now maybe it's 30-28 and the game looks a lot different. But, you know, we felt like we really battled. We really competed. We did a lot of good things. We ran some offense better than we had all year. And as you mentioned, as we got into the third quarter, they went to a zone, really kind of slowed us down. We couldn't find the rim, and they found it every time they shot it. And so that was really the tale of two halves in a nutshell. But, you know, I think we can grow from that game and get better from that game because we did walk away feeling like we did some things well. And we learned quite a bit about ourselves.
It's a Plainfield team as well that has some size, and that's something for your team that you do not have a lot of. So something you had to kind of learn to play with and play against on Friday night.
Yeah, it's just something we're going to have to deal with all year, and it's something that, you know, it's not going to change, not going to go away, when we're just going to have to fight a little bit more and be a little more physical on the box out and help each other a little bit more on the post. So I think, you know, those are just commitments we have to make. And we'll continue to work in that area.
As you look back on some of that contest, that game, the second half, you talked about their shots going in, your shots not falling. Some things, some keys maybe you look at that maybe made the difference there in that second half of play for them.
Well, I thought in the second half, I thought we were tentative offensively. And, you know, you can't be tentative. I thought first half we were very aggressive offensively. I thought we were in a pretty good rhythm. But then we lost our rhythm in that second half. And so that led to us being a little tentative on the shot selection. And, you know, the worst part about it is that they played about as well as they could play. You know, talking with the Plainfield folks here in the last few days, they felt like that was the most consistent game they played all year. And so, you know, I feel like that's a team that's going to be in the sectional final, has a chance to win the sectional. So that's a team that has a chance to make a little run near the end of the season.
A Mid-State Conference matchup on Friday evening, then you go back home and then get ready for the game on Saturday on the road again at Center Grove. And this is a really good Center Grove ball club. We talked about it last week, the fact that Martinsville traditionally has not had a lot of success in that gym over against Center Grove. And boy, did they come out hot in that opening quarter of play.
Well, you know, we told the kids before the game that they're really going to try to blow you out early. You know, and from the get-go, they win the tip, back screen, the tipper. He runs to the rim. They throw it over the top. They catch and lay it in, and it was 2-0 in about 8 seconds. And then we go down and don't score. They come back, hit a three. All of a sudden, it's 5-0. So we exhausted 2 timeouts there in the first 2.5 minutes, just try to slow things down. And they played at a great pace. They played very quick. They guarded extremely well. But you know, I think there's something we could gain out of that. I thought the middle quarters, we settled down quite a bit. We ran some offense. We did some things better on the offensive side than we've done all year. And then we had some different combinations too. So, you know, even though the score was lopsided early, I felt like we got something out of the second and third quarter because we did come back and do some things fairly well.
That's a team you said coming in is one of the better shooting teams you've seen, one of the better shooting teams we'll face this year, and they shot it really, really well. Obviously, in the first quarter of play, especially there, and that's hard to combat for you guys.
It is, and somebody said, well, we got out-rebounded. Well, we got out-rebounded because they only missed 15 shots.
Yeah.
They were 26 of 41, and when you only miss 15 shots, there's only 15 opportunities to clean up the glass, and so you can look at that stat and look at it one way, but if you look at the rest of the stats, it comes at you a different direction. But I thought they played really well. They shot really well. That's probably one of their better teams, if not the best team they've had since Trace Jackson Davis was there.
Right. You talked about them, how tough and how tough they would be, and they play really hard early on in that game. They got the lead. This is a team you may see in the sectional as well coming up, and you mentioned the second and the third quarters of play where you're able to get something out of it. What do you kind of take away? You have one of these things where is it a good thing to be able to play them early and you have that lopsided score? Is that some motivation, or how do you guys what do you hope to take away from this then as you move forward? We're looking way down the road. You may face them in the sectional.
And no doubt, and this is what I told the guys, the game on Friday and Saturday kind of sets the bar, the standard, where we need to be, what we need to do. And so maybe changes we need to make. We're going to enter in January that portion of the season with you have to get better. You can't stay the same. So this gives us a little barometer right now of kind of the things that we need to do, and it gives us a little time to reflect, and we can kind of go back to, okay, let's do this, let's not do this, let's figure out something else that we can or cannot do, and move forward and start to fine tune. So that's when you get to January, you start to tune it a little bit, clean up some things that you think is going to help you down the road.
Couple of games before you get to that Christmas break. We'll talk about those games coming up, but you had a special opportunity this particular week as well after one of your practices to help out in the community. Your team's really been always good at the community service, and your program's always been good at kind of preaching that, not just at the high school, but throughout the entire program for people that are involved in it. And you guys had a great chance to help do some of that community service this week as well.
We sure did. So, every year I sit down with the seniors and we go out for dinner and we talk about goals and some things we want to do. And so one of the things we agreed to do was to adopt a family at Christmas. And so we were able to do that through the help of the Morgan County Christmas Assistance Program. And so small family here in the community, and one night after practice we ran across the street to Walmart, and we had a few guys with this element, or this is who we're buying for, yeah. and we had another 4 or 5 guys that, okay, this is you're buying for this female or boy or whatever, and so we went out there and we spent about a good hour, and I gave them a little bit of a budget, and they were able to go around and buy some things, and you could hear them a couple aisles over laughing, and and some of these guys, they like, what do I buy for
right.
Why do I buy for a little girl? And so they were asking mothers when they walked by, hey, we're doing this, what do you think? And so they had a really good time with it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a growth moment for them. It's a way to give back to the community, because so many people support us, not just this year but over the years, and if we can give back a little bit, it's all worthwhile. But I think it's also good for our young men to be able to think about how fortunate they are and some of the things they do have, and be able to find ways to give back, and this is just one way we're able to do that. And so, I think it's a good thing for not just us, but for our program as a whole.
Like I said, too, you guys have always done a great job with that throughout the program with the community service.
Yeah, and I think another community service project we're involved with right now is through Little Artie's. So on Saturday, we're going to collect food at the Little Artie's games at the field house. So Dean Roberson and Dave Tolliday will be there collecting some canned goods and that kind of thing. And so, we're going to be able to, not just support a family, but maybe multiple families here with a food drive this Saturday. So if anybody's interested, they can just simply drop it by the field house, door 35, on Saturday, basically from about 8 to 4, and we'll take care of it from there.
I tangent off a little bit. I often do that, but that's pretty cool now. The past couple to go there on a Saturday and see all those kids running around at the field house. That's a pretty neat. It's always been neat, but now in the field house, you kind of walk in, you see the glass and the new field house, how nice it is, and all those kids in there. That's pretty cool.
It's a great community event. We've got the boys and the girls youth programs in there. they start at 8, finish up, like I said, about 4, whenever they finish up. And, some families, they'll come for an 8 o'clock game, and then maybe, there's somebody else playing, so they'll come back for a 1 o'clock game, or, maybe they'll stay for 2 back-to-back games. And, a lot of people are seeing each other, and you can sit there and you can watch a 5th grade game on court 1 and maybe a 3rd grade game on court 2, and then, maybe there's a 2nd grade game on court 3. So it's really neat to kind of watch all those different levels. And, credit to our Little Arty board of directors and all the people that volunteer to make that work. But it's a neat event.
Cool event. Get out there if you have an opportunity. If you don't want to stop by and watch the game, just stop by and get some canned food out there and help the community as well, like the basketball team's trying to do. You got back to practice this week as well. How has that week of practice gone for you guys, bouncing back from those games this past weekend?
So we gave them Monday off. We've been, at it Friday and Saturday. We've had 3 back-to-back weekends, and so we gave them Monday off, let them catch their legs, catch their breath a little bit. Came back Tuesday, had an okay day Tuesday. Thought Wednesday was outstanding. Just really good practice Wednesday. Intense. Guys worked really hard. We got some things accomplished, and so just kind of the way you like for it to be. And we actually finished up a little early because of just how they went about their business. And so practice has been pretty good, and I think that day off Monday really helped.
Well, that's going to kind of get Martinsville prepared for their next 2 games. We'll get to that in a second. We wanted to talk about this on the first show. We really didn't get to it. The fact that you've got some turnover in your coaching staff. You've got some familiar names, some familiar faces back, some new people as well. But some people are definitely kind of rich in the tradition of Martinsville basketball on your coaching staff this year.
Yeah, so we're really fortunate. So Gannon Myers, returns to the coaching staff, and he was an outstanding player for us. 5 or 6 years ago, 7 years ago, what it is now, and time goes fast, but, he was a kid that I felt like his senior year, he was about as good as anybody in the area. And so, but he does a great job with the scout, and he also does a great job with our guards and talking to them through different scenarios. And then, Indiana All-Star Ryan Wolf joins us, and, he helped with our 8th grade program last year, and it was just a natural move for him to step in here and help us this year. And, he brings a wealth of knowledge, not just at the high school, but the college levels as well. And so we're very fortunate to have Ryan on board. And, and he's familiar with our guys. He's watched them play. He's very familiar with the freshman group. So we feel like that's really good. JV coach Rob Helms returns, and Coach Helms has got 30-plus years of experience at multiple levels. And, he's good to have around. And then obviously, that leaves the freshman position. And, we were able to make an adjustment, and Dave Knuckles again moves from the 8th grade position to our freshman coaching position. And it's good to have him because he's not just a good coach, but he's here in the building, and he can assess and be with the guys during the day and be a part of it. And so he was a longtime assistant for Coach Sorbonne on the girls' side, so he brings 20-plus years of experience too. So I think we have a very good staff, and we all work very well together. And, it's a lot of time, a lot of hours, a lot of behind the scenes, but these guys are putting the time in, and I'm very fortunate to have them working with us.
You guys will have the Artesians, your team, ready to go. I know with the really detailed scouting reports that you guys have done since really you've been here. You kind of started that tradition. You've passed that on, obviously, to your assistant coaches and you as well in the prep work for those games. But you got Eastern Green coming up on a Friday or on Saturday night. Let's talk a little bit about the Thunderbirds and what can we expect as they fly in here to the John R. Wooden Gym.
Well, here comes another team that's playing really well. They're 4-1, and they've got the best record they've had in several years, and they feel pretty good about themselves. They had a good win against Mitchell after being down 8 to 10 points, came back and won, and they got beat by Sullivan, but Sullivan's a really good team, but they're 4-1 right now, and Coach Hudson does a nice job, and they got a kid named Inman that can really shoot the ball pretty well, and they've got a pretty good little support staff. So, I think it's one of those games that we've got to take care of. We went down there a couple years ago, and they gave it to us pretty good, and so we can't take anybody lightly. And like I said, Eastern's going to come in here with maybe a little chip on the shoulder, and they want to something to prove. Big school, it's a big game on their schedule. So they're going to come after us, and we got to be ready for it. When
you look at them real quick, offensively and defensively, some of the things that they do or like to do well for Coach Hudson's team.
Well, they're going to be 4 out and 1 in. They've got a post player that they drop in and out of there, and they try to play a lot of dribble drive and try to get you in the paint. And And then offensively, also that he's from Bedford, so he's
Right,
got a
yeah,
little Bedford
yeah.
flavor in there that he'll throw in there from time to time. But predominantly they've been man-to-man. But, they've thrown a little bit of zone in there, but they're probably 80-20 man to zone. So that's kind of a little bit of what they look like. But I expect a great contest out of those guys.
Then you guys will come back on Tuesday for your last contest prior to the Christmas break against Indian Creek. The Braves will come into town as you battle them, and they've got some pretty good players on their team once again this year. Some guys back from last year. They lost some guys as well. What can we expect out of the Braves coming up on Tuesday night?
Well, here's another team. It's they're about 500 right now, and nobody on our schedule is easy.
Right.
It's just what it is, and that I think that helps us get ready for the tournament. It helps us get ready at the end of the year, and so we think back right now. We've seen a lot of different styles. Very aggressive, very fast-paced team. Teams that are a little more deliberate. And I think Indian Creek's going to be just a great opponent on Tuesday, and we're going to right now we're focusing on Eastern and getting ourselves right.
Right.
As we move into Saturday, but I think Eastern, good quick turnaround that we're going to have to prepare for on Monday, and they got a couple games. They've got a conference game with Edgewood on Friday, and they've got another game on Saturday. So, we got a little bit of break in there in our schedule, but they're going to be ready to go. This is always a big game for them. I'm sure it is.
A big couple of games coming up for Martinsville Eastern Green on Saturday, the Indian Creek on Tuesday. Get out there and support the Artesians. If you can't, we'll have those games live on the MHS Rewind YouTube channel as well. As always, I'd like to thank the head coach, Kip Staggs, for coming in for the Coach Kip Staggs, along with Luke Cheatham, Bo Dilley, who produced it. I'm Eric Meyer. We'll see you again next time inside Martinsville Basketball.